Hello and welcome to our second video at North Guitars, take 3. Today we want to talk a little bit about pickups, introduce you to some of our models which have a variety of pickups on them, variety of configurations. Hopefully it'll be interesting and useful to you.
So in the studio today we're joined with the ever-present Jake, who's going to pop his head and say hello. And also we've got my son today, Ruben, who's he's popped down for the weekend, so he's come to say hello. So yeah, so what we thought we'd do is we'd start really from the start, I guess, which is we were going to look first of all at single coil pickups. So do you want to talk a little bit about that one, Martin?
Yeah. This is our Outlaw model. It's got 2 single coils and a humbucker on there. These are sort of medium output single coils and then a PAF in the bridge. We have a switch on here which is 10-way. The bottom flick down and you've got the bottom 5 positions which are equivalent to your standard Strat positions. So,
so that's split.
Yeah, so that's split. Yeah, then you've got bridge and middle and neck. Then when you flip the switch up, you've got an additional 5 positions. And that gives you a combination of the pickups to give you some humbucking sounds, some out of phase sounds, and there's a position in the middle which gives you all 3 pickups on together. There's a good variety of sounds on it, and bearing in mind that some of them are humbucking, some of them are out of phase, they all still sound kind of Stratty even though they're not stock Strat pickups. So we'll run through some of these later on with the guitars plugged in, so you can hear what the pickups sound like. We
made this one really to be just a really versatile guitar, didn't we? And something that you could play pretty much every genre of music with. So yeah, so that's that one. We'll put that one away for a second because we're going to do a bit of a demo with that one in a sec. So then the next one, the next, I suppose, a step forward, I guess, in evolutionary terms from single coil was the P90 pickup, and obviously the first iteration of them was the dog ear P90. That Gibson introduced them first, didn't they?
Yeah.
Obviously you had salt bars and Les Pauls and things like that, but things like this would have come in your early 330s and even like 125s and stuff like that. Yeah. So basically what these are, they're just a slightly fatter single coil in essence, aren't they? They're made slightly differently. They've got 2 big magnets going across them, but they are a single wound pickup. But they tend to give a bit more of a fatter tone, a little bit creamier, but they can also be a little bit more raunchy, I guess, when you get them on the bridge. Yeah. And then the third one that we're going to look at is the humbucker, and we'll go into the specs of these a little bit more. So these are PAF type humbuckers. The PAF stood for patent applied for. By Gibson. PAF humbuckers are slightly different to modern humbuckers, I guess, whereas they're relatively low output. I think these ones max out at 7.1k for the neck and 6.9 I think for the bridge. They give like a really articulate tone, a really bright clear tone, these. But obviously because the humbuckers, the hum cancelling, and they can really kick out when they want to as well. So we're going to go very, very briefly through what the pickups sound like. Martin's going to play this one first, and we've got the medium power single coils in there. The ones fitted to these, this was a prototype Outlaw that we made. This is mine, but these are pretty much vintage 64 spec pickups in there. So they're really, really quite low output. So if Martin wants to give that a quick blast, and we're just going to play relatively clean for now, and we're going to get Jake in to do some more high-powered stuff in a bit.
So start with this one. We'll just put it on the neck position, and what we're going to do is we've got the 10-way on here, but for now we're just going to do the 5-way as if it's a standard sort of Strat configuration. So neck position, you've got a nice sort of quite a sort of bluesy sort of neck sound on there. Obviously neck and middle, then we've got more of a middle, which is a sound that I don't tend to use a lot when I play things.
Yeah, the middle, not many people do.
It's one of those things. I know quite a lot of people use it when they're playing Strats and they're playing slide, Middle position's quite good for that. It's quite a useful position, but I guess it's not as obvious a Stratty sound as the other.
Yeah, I use it all the time when I'm playing Crossroads.
Yeah.
By Clapton for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I do. I use it with the fuzz. But
yeah. So yeah. I mean. So yeah, as I say, not a position that I tend to play stuff in very much. Then you've got the middle and bridge position.
Yeah, split bridge on this one.
Yes, yeah, that one splits so that you've got a sort of brighter, sort of twangier version than the fourth position up here.
Yeah, very Hendrixy.
So yeah, and also a bit Dire Straitsy kind of sound as well on that one for clean stuff. And then we've got bridge here, which that's just in single coil mode. Again, it's not a sound that I tend to use a lot on a Strat. I mean, obviously this one's split, this humbucker. I mean, it is a good sound, I guess, and it's quite good if you're putting the thing through quite a lot of effects and stuff. I think it's for me, it's not quite as sort of raunchy as a telly bridge sound. Not quite as there's not quite as much guts in it as a telly bridge sound to me.
There's nowhere near as much mid as
yeah. I mean, obviously when Fender first introduced it on the Strat, they had the two tone controls, but there was no tone control for the bridge pickup because they wanted that to be really sort of twangy and clean and crisp.
It was cut through a mix, wasn't it? Basically,
yeah.
It was, yeah.
So they're your basic sounds. Obviously on this guitar we've got standard volume and tone on here, and then as I say we've got the other 5 positions, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
So obviously now we're on to the slightly more vintage sounding pickups that I've got in this outlaw. As you can see, it's mine. It's just been battered and played a lot, but this is what we do. We take them out on the road, the prototypes, and just make sure that they work in the real world. So I'm going to start off going to do the same thing as Martin just did there on the current production outlaw. We're going to start off with the neck position with just using the Strat settings, I guess. So this one is obviously the neck pickup now. So that's obviously that's quite the full one, quite the full sort of sounding. And we get to the neck and bridge together. Sorry, neck and middle together. We'll move into the bridge the middle position. And as I said, I like to play Crossroads on this, so hopefully this won't be a copyright strike, but. That's what I'm going to play on that, just to make sure. And then obviously on position 2, which is, as I referred to it before, the Hendrixy one. So. And then finally onto the bridge position, which is obviously. Now, personally, I like that position quite a lot when we're doing, when I want to kick through a bit and hit a solo. So yeah, so the 5 basic positions. Hopefully, you can hear the difference in between the medium-powered pickups and the slightly more vintage pickups. As a side note, if anybody is going to order one of these guitars, they're available with both, so there's not a problem at all. The pickups that we're using in this they come from our pickup maker who makes all the pickups for our guitars. And he's very, very good at voicing vintage spec pickups. Now, one thing I will say about this is that people always expect this to sound like a Strat, and it does to a point, but it definitely sounds like its own guitar as well, which that one certainly does, especially with the different woods used in that guitar, which we will broach at some other point. So now we move on to the P90 pickup. So these are essentially a single coil pickup, just a big single coil. A normal single coil will have either one bar down the middle. This generally tends to have two, but it'll have one wind all the way around it. Normally it's about 10,000 for these. Normally for a single coil pickup you're talking about 8,000 winds. For the PAFs, basically the PAF's constructed a little bit differently, so the PAF has two pickups in essence around it, each with 5,000 winds, which are then sort of, I suppose, parallel together, aren't they, to create one sound
together,
and that's what actually creates the hum cancelling element of it as well. So we're going to start off with again on all these demos we've just got everything on 10, so we're going to start off with the neck pickup just on this, just to give you an idea of the sounds of it. And move into the middle position. And then we go on to the bridge, and the bridge has got a little bit more kick. So these are the clean sounds. What we can do later is we're going to get Jake to play a little bit of dirty stuff.
Okay, so yeah, this is
starting on the neck.
Not sure if we said, but this is a Sundog model. This one that Phil was playing earlier was the prototype, which is where some of the North guitar ideas came from. So yeah, this is the sort of production model. Obviously, we can produce this with either humbuckers or P90s, but this is the humbucker version, which we have a couple of PAFs on here. As Phil said earlier, these are slightly lower output. Basically, the original PAFs, 57s they're often called, were slightly lower output, used on a lot of the semis like 335s, guitars like that, basically to give you they give you a nice sort of balanced sound, nice sort of not too harsh on the top end, so quite mellow bottom end, and the top end's not got too much bite, so great for sort of jazz, blues, those kind of things. So that's what we've got on here. So yeah, in the neck position. So you've got a nice sort of bluesy, jazzy neck sound. Middle position, you've got both pickups on obviously, and you've got your so you've got that sort of bit more twang to it in that middle position for, you know, those kind of rhythmic things. And then obviously in the bridge position you've got a sort of so you've got a bit more bite in there, but not really harsh like, well, as I say, harsh. If you go for a 59 humbuckers, which was what Gibson basically introduced with the Les Paul because it was solid bodied, they wanted a bit more bite to the sound. So the top end on a 59 pickup is a bit harsher, a bit brighter. Just mention briefly magnets. We've got humbuckers, and within the humbuckers we've got a selection of different magnets. So the 57s used Alnico 2 magnets, which gave you that sound with not so much bite. The 59s, well, there are various versions. So there's Alnico 2, Alnico 3, Alnico 4 and Alnico 5. The Alnico 4 and 5s, which were used on later pickups, tended to give you a bit more top end and a bit more middle to the sound as well. So the magnet makes a difference to the sound of the humbucker gives.
Yeah, I mean I liken these sort of the 57 spec ones, if you like, to be a bit like a beefed up telly, really.
Yeah,
I would say, because they've still got that real articulation.
They've got that sort of crispness.
Yeah,
that a 59's got a bit more guts to it and a bit fuller sounding. So the 57s are a little bit sort of cleaner sounding, which is why they lend themselves to semis. So we've got the different sounds on here. As I say, you'll hear it when Jake's having a go playing these later on, with a bit more sort of drive and grunt on them.
I think it's probably worth noting as well as when we designed these guitars, this was based on my love for ES330, as we mentioned in the last video. So these are pretty much hollow guitars, aren't they? The only solid bits are underneath the 2 pickups and the tailpiece there. So it has that real, even if I play this sort of off without anything mic'd up or anything, they give that real sort of, they have that real sort of resonant sound to them. So we wanted to do 2 models basically with the P90s and with this, and they are completely different beasts with different pickups, and it does show what a different sort of pickups can make to a guitar, I guess, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so on to the next one. So we'd also thought that we'd show you what so basically the PAFs in this are exactly the same pickups in that, but we thought we'd show you what it sounds like in a solid body, really, because there's a little bit of a difference in there. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this now. So we're just playing on clean again. So that's just on the neck pickup, and again. Middle. So obviously that's got a little bit more, a little bit more of a fuller sound, like you would expect from a solid body, really. There's not that sort of acoustic feedback coming off this. This is our area model. It's a obviously solid mahogany back, neck, flame maple top, which is actually quite a thick maple top. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's actually quite thick, that. We've got the German carves, which we have on most of our guitars anyway. And we designed this one because obviously there's a lot of people out there who make Les Pauls, Les Paul copies, that type of thing, or derivatives. And we wanted to make something that had its own individual voice. So this isn't quite as trebly, don't think, as a Les Paul, but it can still really, really kick butt when it needs to. But hopefully, it comes through on the video that it has a slightly individual voice on it. So yeah, obviously we'll get this played through some high gain in a bit with Jake, and hopefully you'll like what you hear. So that at the moment is the types of pickups that we actually have. There are obviously other pickups that need a mention. For me, the Gretsch Filtertrons are an insanely good pickup, and we are going to use a derivative of that on a couple of builds coming up. The sort of, is it the Jaguar? No, the Jazzmaster pickups. The very big single coils, which is almost like P90s,
like P90,
almost like P90s, but they tend to be very, very thin wound, don't they? So just for argument's point of view now, what's your favourite type of pickup?
I think my favourite overall is probably P90.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love P90 sounds. I love the sound of a telly, but I've had a couple of tellies which probably some people would say aren't really tellies if they got P90s on, but they did sound like just a beefed up telly with P90s on, and it just gave it a bit more sort of guts and things. Not, maybe not as versatile, but for straight sort of bluesy, rocky sort of stuff, I think P90s are great. And also they're a bit crisper and cleaner than a humbucker, so when you put them through effects or you put gain on them and stuff, I think they tend to drive things well. Yeah,
I mean, I play in a rock band, and I play that all the time. Unfortunately, I mean, one of the ways that we designed this was so that it has, I mentioned this in another video, is that it sounds like a hollow body. However, it doesn't feed back like a hollow body at all. It feeds back almost like a solid body guitar. As I'm sure Jake will testify, because Jake's had that one home a few times now. In fact, I would probably go as far as saying that's probably your favourite guitar, isn't it, mate? Yeah. So what we're going to do now is myself and Martin are going to shoot off. We're going to let Jake put these things through the paces with a little bit more gain, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up the video a little bit. So.
Okay, so we just want to finish off just talking about a couple of things that we haven't mentioned so far. One of which is pickup combinations, and the other thing is there's one or two pickups we haven't mentioned. On this guitar here, just basically showing that it is possible to mix various pickups. You don't have to have 2 humbuckers, 3 single coils, whatever. This is one of my guitars that I use, and I just like the combination of the pickups. So you've got a Tele bridge pickup, Strat in the middle, and then a P90 in the neck. So you've got your really nice sort of creamy bluesy neck sound, jazzy neck sound, and then you've got your in-between sounds, Strat sounds, and then you've got your Tele in the bridge, which I like because I find that tends to be really good for sort of rock stuff if you're driving, you know, using overdrives,
for the girth,
things like that. Yeah,
for the girth.
So yeah, just really to explain that. I mean, this one's got basically middle position on this one. You've got your neck and your bridge instead of the Strat middle position single, and then the other positions are similar to your Strat. So you've got neck and middle. Say you've got neck and bridge, middle and bridge. So it just gives you some different tones you can get out of the same guitar, so you don't have to have everything the same. Particularly if you like certain styles of music, you might want to combine different types of pickups.
This is another one of, so I'll explain that these are Martin's builds. Martin actually has a workshop that you do lessons as well, don't you? Teach people how to do this
and
as well.
basically custom builds, some more one-off things.
So that's, you know, obviously that's aside from the North guitar stuff. So on this one, this has got a mini humbucker on there, which if you've heard mini humbuckers, they've got their own sound, they've got their own thing. Obviously they're hum cancelling, but they've got their own sound. And on the bridge, he's got a blade style pickup, which is
hot rail,
which is a hot rail pickup, which uses a blade magnet system.
Mm-hmm.
Tends to be a bit more higher output as well.
Yeah.
People like Richie Cotton has got one on his Tele. So that's it. So I hope that you found this video interesting. Obviously, we'd love to hear your input into these videos as we're still trying to find our feet. If you can put in the comment section, for example, your favourite pickups, your favourite pickup combinations, even your favourite pickups on different types of guitars, then that would be great. I'm going to throw this one out to Martin now because, again, obviously I like to throw Martin off a little bit. So Martin, what's your most hated pickups? Which ones do you not like? Let's not use the word hated. There's too much hate in the word. Which ones do you not like?
I don't think there's any that I don't like, really. I'm not a huge, well, probably the same one as you. I'm not a huge fan of active pickups. I mean, I know a lot of people use EMGs, and obviously a lot of people that play metal use EMGs, and I think they're great pickups, and they are very good for that. If you're putting it through lots of effects, then the crispness you get from a active pickup is really good. I mean, they tend to use ceramic magnets. They don't have a lot of inherent character, but they're great for driving effects and playing that sort of music. So I wouldn't say I hate them. Not my cup of tea. Yeah. But they are, for if you want them for that sort of use, then they're great.
I'm not a big fan of EMGs at all either. I just think they sound too samey, and I think with EMGs you can pretty much one of the rare occurrences where you can actually put them in pretty much any guitar and it will sound roughly the same because the pickups are so overpowering. Yeah. My most disliked pickup are the Fender noiseless ones that they put on with the S1 switches and all that. Yeah. I just thought they were lifeless pickups.
Yeah.
Really, they weren't my bag at all. Yeah. But anyway, we'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to hear what you like. Hopefully this video has been informative and fun. And hopefully Jake's playing didn't put you off.
Or our playing didn't.
And if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, we are at North Guitars on Instagram and we are North Guitars on Facebook. Obviously, if you can follow, subscribe, share, send this to your auntie, anything that you want to do, then that's absolutely great. And if your comments are negative or what you perceive as negative, put them up too. We'd like to hear everything, really. Yeah. So thanks very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Cheers.